Hi, I'm Richard Minol. I'm going to be talking about colour blindness or colour vision deficiency as it's called today and how it affects people with this condition. Personally, I am somebody who is colour vision deficient and my childhood was awkward. When I was I think it was grade 3, my art teacher put me down in front of everybody, because of how I'd painted or drawn a picture and the colouring that was used. I remember now that it had brown grass and I think it was purple sky, but I can't remember I just remember that I was put down terribly. And so it affects children of all ages and it carries on. Because of this and my ongoing issues that I had while I was at school, I got laughed at by many of the students in my classes right through high school. It's something that's hereditary. It's passed, the general ones anyway, are hereditary. So my grandfather was colourblind, colour deficient, and passed it on through my mum to me. But what's interesting is I have a brother and sister and neither of them have colour deficiency. I think it's said that the only time a woman gets colour vision deficiency is if the gene is carried by both the father and the mother. And that's very rare. Now, in this display, some of the photographs that will be up have come from various sites around the globe, and I acknowledge and give thanks for those who have done all this. I've tried to edit some photographs to make them as though they were colour vision deficient people, how they would see things, but unfortunately there just doesn't seem to be a program I could find how to do it. So being colourblind is a problem that is often put down, and children who are colourblind often withdraw when colour is a theme of a conversation. There is a tendency to laugh at them if they get a colour wrong. So what is colour blindness? Colour blindness is an optical problem in the eyes. Colour blindness, or colour vision deficiency, or CVD as it is called today, affects approximately 1 in 12 men, that's 8%, and 1 in 200 women, 0.5% of women in the world. Our eyes are made up of what are called rods and cones. And they both receive light. There are approximately 120 million rods in our eyes. The rods are the main receptors for light, and although they recognize light from 380 nanometers to 650 nanometers, they only see in black and white. There are only 6 to 7 million cones in our eyes. The cones are the colour receptors, and they are in the centre of the eyeball. The cones are divided into 3 types. For each type, there is a specific colour absorption curve with a main centre point in each curve. So the picture you're seeing now has the difference between the rods and the cones. The 3 types of cones are referred to as S, M, or L. S cones receive short wavelength light ranging from 400 nanometers to 575 nanometers, centering around blue at 420 nanometers. M cones are sensitive to medium wavelength light ranging from 460 nanometers to 650 nanometers and centering around green at 525 nanometers. The L cones are sensitive to the long wavelengths ranging from 480 nanometers to 720 nanometers and centering around red at 625 nanometers. The cones receive the light and interpret the light from its brightness and wavelength, and the brain interprets it into colour. So our next graph is showing the full normal light response. And we have each of the cones listed separately. Colour blindness was officially recognised in 1798 through the research of John Dalton, who himself was red-green colourblind. What has been generally referred to as red-green colour blindness fails to help us understand the full extent of the problem in the red-green range. In 1837, August Seebeck did a deeper research and testing and found that there are two different classes of red-green colour blindness, and each has its differences in a severity ranging from weak to strong in both cases. The names used now describe what the actual issue is. As an added note, it's now believed that about 1% of people worldwide can see more colours than the average person, creating a more vivid world, seeing hues invisible to most humans. Tetrachromacy, as it's called, is a rare genetic trait that endows people, primarily women, with a fourth colour detecting cone in their retinas, allowing them to distinguish more subtle variations in colour. Most people can see evidently 20 to 32 colours in the spectrum, but people with tetrachromacy should be able to see at least 33 to 39 colours. A person whose cones do not receive light at all are totally colourblind and only see black, white and grey. This form of colour blindness is called achromatopsia, or simplified to monochromacy. It's believed that approximately 1 in every 33,000 people could suffer from this form of colour blindness. So we have a picture first of all showing normal colour vision, and then the same picture converted to monochromacy. There are 3 other forms of monochromatism where only one of the cones is responding to light. This means the person sees everything in one colour only, that is red or yellow or blue. Now if you've looked at a sepia or Van Dyke Brown photograph, you can see how the image is only one colour with all its shades. This will help you understand monochromatism. So we have 2 photographs side by side, one in black and white and the other in sepia. And now we have another 2, one in black and white and the other in Van Dyke Brown. Now there are 2 other types of colour blindness, and each type has 3 other groups of colour blindness called denominations in it. With a person whose cones are not receiving the light correctly, the brain still interprets the information into what should be the colour from where it sits in the cone's spectral reception, as if the person had perfect cone receptors. However, they do not see the colour as it is because the cone is not receiving the colours in the range it is expected to receive. This is the issue behind the colour blindness or colour vision deficiency that we will be looking into now. The first one is dichromacy. It's the second type, and only 2 cones receive light. The 3 groups represented by the cone that is not receiving light are called protanopia, where they do not receive the red light, deuteranopia, where they do not receive the green light, and tritanopia, where they do not receive the blue light. Anomalous trichromacy is the third type. All 3 cones receive light, but not correctly. And there are three groups in this group, or three denominations in this group. Proto-anomaly, where red is not received correctly. Deutero anomaly, where it is the green that is not received correctly. And trito anomaly, where it is the blue that is not received. Now, as I said earlier, it's been very hard to find any images showing the anomalous trichromacy, but here we have the dichromacy shown. So you have normal, and you can see around it the deuteranopia, protanopia, and tritanopia. Now, we've had a go at suppressing some of the colours, so I hope these show something. You have normal, deuteranomaly, protanomaly, and tritanopia. With the three groups whose title ends in the anopia, one of the types of the cones in the eye is completely missing or it's not working at all. Therefore, they only have two types of cones receiving information. With the group ending with anomaly, there is one of the three cone groups that has either flattened its curve so that it does not recognize the colors that it would at the top of a normal cone, or the whole cone reception has moved. The result is that a person who is said to be red-green colorblind cannot tell correctly what any color is that has red or green in it at any level. With protanopia, a person does not receive long wavelengths as the long red cone is not working. With proto-anomaly, the L cone has changed its reception range with a different high point. And the other version is that the L cone does not have a complete response to the light because the curve is much flatter. With deuteranopia, a person does not receive medium wavelengths as the middle green cone is not working. With deuteroanomaly, the M cone has changed its reception point with a different high point. It can be either higher or lower at that point. The other version is that the M cone does not have a complete response to the light because the curve is much flatter. So here we've just done a comparison between normal colour vision and deuteranomaly and deuteranopia, where it is called green colour blindness. With tritanopia, a person does not receive short wavelengths as the short blue cone is not working. With tritanomaly, the S cone has changed its reception point with a different high point. It can be either at a higher or lower point, but normally it is said to be at a higher point. The other version is that the S cone does not have a complete response to the light because the curve is much flatter. So now we've done a graph that shows the normal colour vision and then the dotted line parts in the colours showing the two types of variation that can occur. So with the M cone, where we've done the dotted line showing it has suppressed, and then on the S cone we have the cone that has changed in its reception, so the high point is at a totally different position as well. Next, just to help, we have four images of a map of the world that was done, and showing again the comparison from normal colour vision to protanopia, deuteranopia, and tritanopia. And again, comparing the various types within each. So we have red-green colour blindness, and it's either deuteranopia or protanopia, and then what's called blue-yellow colour blindness, which is tritanopia, and then complete colour blindness, monochromatism. So the graph at the centre of each image has the normal colour, and then the circle part around that shows the variation that's occurred with each of those three. And again, it's an image that's been downloaded. This, I've got the copyright, was Health Direct Australia Limited. Next, we're going to compare the same ideas, but flipping from a strip chart from one normal vision to one of the others. So here's the normal colour vision, and then we'll jump back to the protanopia. And we come back to the normal colour vision, and then we jump to the deuteranopia. And then we come back to normal colour vision and go to tritanopia. And now we have some of the Ishihara tests. Ishihara tests have a number inside them. They're all made out of dots of different colours, and it's to help distinguish between the normal and the protanopia and deuteranopia. So first and second levels of colour blindness, and I hope you can see something in at least the normal one. I can't see anything in any of those dots. Then we have the first and second levels compared with another photograph, and if you like ballooning, well, here's an exciting shot, isn't it? All the different coloured balloons. And then we have normal colour vision compared with severe red deficiency. And these, I think these photographs came from an education or colour blindness site to be used in education in England. Then we have Deutero anomaly, the green colour deficiency. So normal colour vision compared with severe green deficiency. The most common form of colour blindness is Deutero anomaly, with nearly 5% of males and 0.3% of females having it. Even though colour blindness is given the common names of red-green or blue-yellow, it does not give the full variations that occur or explain what is happening, which is why you can have people with the same literal title of their colour vision deficiency, but they won't see things the same. So this is the Deutero anomaly. Normal colour vision on the left, and using again a different colouring system. Or we have now normal colour vision of the child rolling the dough, and then deuteranopia, the green colour deficiency. Or this is one of the big issue areas for schools, where you've got coloured pencils. You have the normal vision here and the deuteranopia, green colour deficiency showing. So if you ask a child to pick up a particular colour pencil, that's how they'll see it in normal vision, and now this is how they see it with if they have the colour deficiency, and you can see why they get things wrong. Then there is another one of blocks showing the different colours. The next picture is one that shows the chemical pH chart, and so this is showing how the effects can happen when you're in high school especially. And so it's showing normal colour vision, and you can see the pH chart. And then underneath that, you've got the same pH chart, but how somebody with severe green deficiency will see it. When I was doing photography, we had to check the pH levels of some of the chemicals, and this is where I had a lot of difficulty. Again, now back to paint, and my wife loves painting, my grandchildren and my daughter love painting. This is normal, and then if you have a certain green deficiency, that's how the paints will change colour. And then there's what they call blue-yellow colour blindness. Tritan, the third division. So this affects the short wave cone. There are two different types which can be observed. The tritanopia, where people affected by this are dichromats. That means the S cones are completely missing and only the long and medium wavelength cones are present. Or there is tritanomaly. This is an elevated form of blue-yellow colour blindness, where the S cones are present but have some kind of mutation. And so we have colour graph comparisons of how somebody with normal vision will see the colours, and how the brain of somebody that has tritanopia will interpret them. Again, another two pictures of some painting work. And again, so another artwork. And again, our pots of powder with different colours, and then how it's visualized by somebody with tritanopia. Since colourblind children often don't receive the support they need in the classroom from an early age and before they even begin to learn to read and write, most feel inadequate. Some lose confidence and struggle to cope. Some are put off school and some become unwilling to learn and can develop into disruptive pupils. So now we're going to look at things in another way. The human eye is said to be able to recognize the visible spectrum, which starts at 380 nanometers and extends to 780 nanometers. And so we have two color pieces of those, approximately those color vision points. As you can see now in this graph, all the cells start at the same point and end at the same point. However, they lay flat and rise at different places along the frequency range and reach their high point at different frequencies before descending again. The issues with being colourblind is said that the cone curves rise at a different place and may not reach the same high point. The brain, though, still interprets their reception in the same way it does for a person with a full colour vision. If the M cone has its maximum point at 580 nanometers instead of 530 nanometers, then it will interpret the colour yellow as a green. This is one of the areas I really struggle with. I cannot tell the difference between a ripe banana and a green banana. And that's what our next photographs are. The L cone is the long wavelength cone. Protanopia is red blindness. The L cone is either missing or it does not respond to light, so there is no reception of the red light. With any colour that has a tinge of red in it, the red part of the colour is not recognised. protonomaly is the weakness of the L cone to respond to long wavelengths of light. Even though the colour red is received to some extent, it is not the same relative absorption strength as the other two main colours, and so colours containing red in any depth vary in the way the person recognises the true colour. And we come to the medium wavelength cone. Deutero anomaly is green blindness. The M cone is either missing or it does not respond to any form of medium wavelength colours. Deutero anomaly is weakness in the M cone responding to medium wavelengths of light, with the high point in green light. Tritonopia is known as blue-yellow blindness. The S cone is either missing or fails to respond to any form of short wavelength colours. Tritonopia is a failure of the short cone to respond correctly to short wavelengths of light with the high point in blue. There seems to be two ways that the anomaly form of colour blindness affects the perception of colours. Either the cone wavelength's reception has moved its high point, or its absorption of the light has flattened out so that it doesn't reach the full amount that should be. One of the softer recognitions of the cone colour, while the other is a totally wrong final colour at the maximum absorption point. With this form of the colour blindness, the brain's electrics interpret this wrong point as the normally recognised high point, and thus giving a wrong set of colours with this failed colour recognition. So now again we come back to those cone representations that we did, with the M cone flattened and the S cone moved. And now we have an interpretation of what's happened with this blue section. The brain interprets the new high point as the colour from the normal point. So we have on the picture on the left, we see the true colour at 500 nanometers, whereas the picture on the right, or the colouring on the right, shows the colour is at 500 nanometers, but what it would be seen as to that person. The result of this is a shift in the whole colour spectrum. So at the top one of these graphs, we've got the original colour spectrum, and below that we have the changed colour spectrum. And we come back to the true spectrum. And we jump to over that so you can see the perceived spectrum. So we just go backward to the true one and then to the perceived. And so you can see the change in colour as the person with this particular issue would be seeing it as. And now we come again, this is the blue shift to a longer wavelength. And the top of it all, you can see the two colour perceptions change. And the same thing with a green colour shift, where it moves from the normal position to a longer response, with the normal wavelength picture at the bottom, or graph at the bottom, and the perceived wavelength at the top. And then we come down to the green shift, where it goes to a shorter response, and you can see again the changes in those. So if we just jump back to this previous one just for a moment, you can see that change in that top colour graph because of this change in position. And then we come to the red colour shift. So the bottom of our colour graph picture is of the normal, and then how it's perceived with that response in the red, where it's moved to a higher colour or longer nanometer reading, and then where it goes to a shorter response. And we'll just flip back between the two. Now, from some of the education department things, there are some classic signs of colourblind students. Inappropriate use of colour. Commonly purple skies, which is what I had, yellow, green, grey faces, red leaves, brown grass, there you go. Reluctance to help when tidying up if boxes are colour-coded. Disruptive behaviour, unwillingness, inability to play board games, matching games, some memory games, sequences, and sometimes games in PE or physical education. They copy other children in colour situations where the child might constantly hold back and watch so he can borrow a colour from a friend routinely after the friend has used it, and then copy exactly where that colour went. But there are unexpected errors in worksheets which rely on colour. Colourblind learners can sometimes appear slow, distracted, or disruptive. This may be because they need extra time to process information and can result in them missing some teaching points because they're still trying to understand the previous one. So there are some effective strategies to ensure your teaching is colourblind friendly. There are several strategies you can use to make sure your classroom and teaching methods are accessible to colourblind pupils. Labelling the relevant colour name onto all drawing and writing equipment, for example, pencils and crayons. Audit worksheets, textbooks, websites, and other resources equipment for potential problems. You can photocopy worksheets into black and whites to see if the information works without colour. If the photocopy is suitable, give the black and white version to colourblind students. One of the biggest issues I still have is that so many, especially warning things on different documents and also on foods, you have a red patch with black text, or a black text with a black box with red text, and I cannot read the text. And another one that the teaching group has said is be careful in the use of coloured pencils on whiteboards. Are they visible to colour visually people? If a pupil is diagnosed with CVD, sit them in good natural light to work wherever possible, but avoid bright sunlight or artificial light. And other methods to help. Avoid relying solely on colour to make teaching points. Always use secondary indicators such as patterns, underlining or shading. Traffic light systems aren't suitable for CVD pupils. Again, you need to use secondary indicators. Make sure you don't use colour alone to assess a pupil's understanding. One of the issues I think I can remember is sometimes teachers would use a red pen on your assignment, and the red pen evidently meant this was something that was wrong, whereas a black pen everything was okay. If you have colour visual deficiency, these are some of the things you cannot see. And regularly ask diagnosed CVD pupils if they are experiencing difficulties at school that may be related to their condition. Encourage them to voice any concerns. And then another very helpful thing, research and use accessible apps and software for pupils with CVD. Well, I hope this helps in some way. And if you know of somebody with colour vision deficiency, don't be afraid of sitting beside them and talking about things. I'm one of those people who, my wife, I believe, she's in that extra group of people with that extended colour vision. And I know we get a bit frustrated because I can't see what she's talking about. She understands and she knows. And we are both very close in so many ways. And for me, it's a joy to know that I really believe she's got that extended colour vision. So I find that helpful. So each of us will have things that we find helpful. And don't be afraid to talk about things. That's the biggest thing that we need to hold on to. So I hope my talk today has been helpful for you. Thank you.